Yes, we're up and running. Well, thank you, Michael, for being willing to do this today.
My pleasure, Ray.
I'm so looking forward to your story, which I've heard it, but it's always good to hear again because it is quite the story. And then getting into your book, that
Upside down, Ray.
Upside Down. um, that really has a lot of information about, you just think of inverting, everybody's kind of familiar with those ones that flip upside down that aren't so good for us sometimes. But there's a lot of other things that are going on when you invert yourself, and we'll let you kind of go from there. But yeah, this is a great asset. So if you could, I guess I'd like to start off by having you tell us about your story, how it was that you actually came to be involved with this, and actually you created a product called the Gravity Pal for this. And so, yeah, tell us your story if you would.
Well, actually, to elongate it a little bit from our previous conversation, it really started in the late 70s. I met an 80-year-old lady who had a beautiful complexion. And I had the very poor manners of asking her how she could have such a beautiful complexion. And she said that she spent about several minutes a day on her slant board. And I didn't know what that was. So I then found out, and I ordered one for myself because even at that age, I had a lot of back issues. Fast forward about 20 years, I had to have emergency surgery, spinal fusion surgery, because I had actually a birth defect between the facets of L4, L5, and they slipped, and it really crunched my nerves. And anyway, they fused it all back together. And through therapy and exercise, I was able to be quite functional for quite a long time. What I didn't know then, though, is that once you have a fusion surgery, it is very typical for the areas, the vertebrae above and below, to accept that additional stress, and it wears down on the additional discs that are above and below that. And so about 13 years later, I was scheduled for another surgery because I was in a lot of discomfort. And I was about a week away from getting the surgery, and I had this old slant board that I had used periodically a little bit to help me control the back discomfort that I routinely had.
Yeah.
And so I got on it, and I felt something shift, and it was really dramatic. And so I contacted the surgeon and I said, "Can we put this off?" And he said, "Sure." So we kept putting it off until finally I never had that surgery. And so I started really seriously studying. My wife and I had just sold a business and ended a particular business career. But because of my ongoing issues, we decided to go back to school. And the two of us went to massage school, not so much to have a massage practice, but to really take care of each other as we get older. And but it was the format for me to start studying in detail as much as I could about the fascia, the tissues of the body, how the musculature works, and so on. And so I got to work and I started studying all the patents that had been issued for inversion going back to 1890. And I found it's very old technology. It goes back to strapping people to ladders back in ancient times. Yeah. And yet there's very, very poor scientific research on it. There's hardly any. The stuff that's been done is, in my opinion, not very good. And it's quite interesting. We could talk a lot. I put a lot of this in my book, the history of it and so on, so I won't go into all of that. But what was interesting to me is that not only was I getting better, but I was experiencing additional other benefits. And so I started studying, well, maybe we could actually make this concept better. And so I commissioned a carpenter, and then I hired a couple of engineering firms, and then another carpenter. And then finally I hooked up with this Amish craftsman And it was he and I that really figured it out. And quite an amazing engineer, this guy. And so over the course of a couple of years, we made about 60 different prototypes. We got 3 different models. One is a bench that converts, one's more for exercise, and one folds and is portable, which is the most popular of our products.
Excuse me. Yeah.
And then I decided to write a book about it and share what I've learned about inversion as a therapy for back, but also for general wellness, which is that's the big discovery, is that it really has so many side effects or side benefits, if you will, way over and above just improving back performance.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because I know on the subtitle to the book is, Beyond Back Pain and Wellness. But when I was thinking about it yesterday to create this event, I was thinking it's so much more than just that. And I'll just put one little antidote in here that you and I have been friends for many years now,
Yeah.
almost coming up on 2 decades pretty soon.
Yeah.
And I was one of your first clients
Right.
in buying that. And it was
Right.
actually, I probably got the best deal of all because it was one of the prototypes.
You
It was
did.
kind of like a prototype almost. And I still use it all the time. And the thing that immediately struck me was the clarity of mind for me. That was I noticed it like quickly, like
That was one of the most consistent surprises that we got right early on. And people started reporting that after 1 or 2 weeks, they started noticing just how much more clearly their thinking was.
Yeah.
And so we got busy studying that. This goes back to 2016, 2015. And interestingly, right around 2015, the University of Virginia issued a research study that they had found for the first time ever lymph architecture in the upper cranium. And their comment was that it would they'd have to rewrite the anatomy books because of it, and that they could, for the first time, think about certain diseases or treating certain diseases mechanistically, which was the word they used, which really got me excited, because mechanistically basically means including inversion. And so and they listed with that autism spectrum and Alzheimer's and so on. Now, why? It has to do with the lymph as a system that removes large molecule wastes from the body. How the lymph system functions, we don't have to go in detail about that, is
Right.
to assist in that large molecule waste that otherwise the venous system doesn't eliminate.
Right.
And so it's a theory. We don't know. We've invited, I've written on our website, you'll find a page that says invitation to researchers, where we have noted some of these side benefits like this, mental clarity, for example, improved digestion and so on. Why is this the case? Well, here's some research studies that indicate why maybe. And we have made this very clear to, in our website there, that we would love for researchers that have funds, more so than we have, to do the research on this. And if there's any researchers that are, legitimate and connected with, legitimate facilities watching or listening to this, we have a pledge that we will offer to them without charge our Gravity Pals, to use. We don't even want attribution. We just want research to be done.
Yeah.
And I believe this is a powerful tool. And this is why also in my book, I use the term as a central wellness tool, because as one continues to use this, usually only 1 to 3 minutes, once or twice a day, over time, there's a series of cumulative benefits, and they deserve to be researched. We deserve to understand, why is this the case? Now, I have a whole bunch of, I think, valid theories that I'm happy to share, but right now, we don't have the research and we only have the anecdotal
Right. Yeah,
reports.
like mine. Yeah.
Yeah, like yours. And literally scores and scores of other people that take the time to tell us, I mean, all kinds of things. And
Yeah.
reduction of scoliosis, sciatica, improved digestion. I mean, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
We weren't really looking for those specifically. Frankly, it was really focused on me, focused on trying to be able to actually be more functional,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
when that bad event happened for me in 2013, 14, I couldn't travel. I couldn't sit in a car for 3 or 4 hours, couldn't drive to Chicago or anything. And
Yeah.
now I can literally check my foldable portable gravity pal as luggage on an airplane
Right.
and take it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm just going to expound on that whole thing about the lymph system in the brain. That
Sure.
when I say that I had experienced clarity of mind, it was clarity, but it was also memory, with really what I'm specifically talking about.
Mhm.
And the brain actually, as you probably know, consumes probably 30 to 40% of our power, energy in our whole body, because it's it's just humming. And I would surmise, I mean, this is anecdotal also, that this could have an effect on dementia and possibly Alzheimer's. And that's why I'd like to see the research done.
Yes, I would
And
love to see some
and
research
they
on
and they
that.
know that you need to get those waste molecules out, or they will build up uh, and cause other problems in the brain. But anyway, I think that was like years ago when I first started using it. I was like, oh my God, this is a product that should be in all the Alzheimer's places. But anyway, that's just me. Um,
Well, I
so
have another theory, unless you have a question, I have another theory as to why this also happens.
go ahead.
Okay, well, it has to do with the concept that I think that we trigger. And again, this is another one of those things where I'm giving you my hypothesis and reports from other people, my conversations that I've had with other health professionals about this, but I don't have clinical proof. Okay, but the concept is safety inside. And I think that what happens with the Gravity Pal is that because of its unique low angle design and the architecture that we created in terms of the materials that we use, we're not hanging from our feet, we're hanging from our hips. And because we use this military grade vinyl that actually is non-slip vinyl, you just stay put on this thing. And the hips rotate, the spine elongates, but a curious thing happens in the legs. The legs actually feel like a sense of weightlessness. And I personally describe it as being like held like a baby. And
Hmm.
it's interesting because when my wife and I went through massage school, we were told that it takes about 15 minutes for someone to get past what they call muscle guarding. It's a response where we instantly,
Right.
seize up out of a protection mechanism, and it's natural to our central nervous system. And it takes us a while to just get this safety inside feeling inside,
Right.
but it happens virtually immediately when you get on the Gravity Pal. And because it happens so immediately, it's so comfortable. And I believe that the tissues throughout the entire physiology just release. And that makes particularly the lymph and the cerebral spinal fluid flow much more effortlessly, and
Mm.
in particular the lymph. And again, this is one of those things that we really would love to see, some research done on it. But because of that, we only need to be on the Gravity Pal like 1 to 3 minutes at a time. It is that effective. You don't have to be on it 10 or 15, 20 minutes. You can, and
Yeah.
many people do, but in fact, every once in a while I stay on it longer too. But, generally speaking, to get the longer term benefits, it's only about one or 3 minutes at a time.
right. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Could you talk a little bit about, because I don't want to run out of time, but I want to cover
Oh,
this. Could you talk a little bit about the difference between the low angle versus a high angle, straight up, the ones that probably a lot of people are aware of?
right.
Uh,
Well, I tell a story in my book about that because back in the early 80s, I had a buddy that had one of those gravity boots,
mm,
and he put me on it, and it was like an emergency to get me off of it. you know, um,
yeah,
the Mayo Clinic has come out and said, just don't do it. It's bad for your eyes. It's bad for all the cells in your brain. It's not good. And if you're over a certain age, we'll just leave that hanging. There is because you lock the feet in these stirrups, if you will. Um, then you run the risk of perhaps actually stretching ligaments in your feet and possibly in your knees and possibly in your hips. Who the heck knows? It's just too much.
yeah,
Now, to be fair, most people don't do the complete inversion, and if they do, they're usually much younger when they get started with it. But I personally couldn't do it. And I personally, again, anecdotally, I ran into a ton of people that said, "Oh yeah, I bought one of those things and I don't use it." Well, why don't you use it? Well, I got on it, scared me.
mm,
And um, so what we did as part of our research is try to figure out, well, what is the angle that actually delivers and yet isn't going to trigger this danger inside kind of signal.
right.
And
Clinch
we
up.
tried a lot of different angles and we kept building our prototypes, up and down. And we finally settled, it's about a 13-degree angle. And, but we found that for most people, it is just a natural, oh yes, this is wonderful, I love it. So that's how we
Right.
settled on
Yeah,
that.
it's a very gentle,
Hmm.
because when I lay down on my board, it um, there's no inflection on the board, so feels very safe. And then, as you said about the material that's on there, there's no sliding. You just lay down and it's like you're Velcroed on there, but you're not, which gives that sense of that it's safe, so you don't feel that flinching at all. And yeah, it's it's great. I mean, I'm still using it every day, so um, I think it's something that I just do because I don't. I mean, like you said, it takes 1-2 minutes. I'm on there for about 2 minutes, and
Right.
that's all I do. So you you come up with this product, you write a book, and somebody that is listening, might go, okay, so this is like a tool within the toolkit.
Right.
But can you talk a little bit about like somebody becoming like to be our own caretaker, if you will, or contractor, general contractor, because I'm in the contracting business a little bit,
Yeah.
that we look to take care of ourselves with the tools that we have. And, Gravity Pal might not be a tool for somebody, but, because there's other modalities.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Yeah. I wrote extensively in my book about the concept of being the general contractor of your own health.
uh,
And
yeah, that's right.
because the concept of self-care is, it sounds like, oh, great, here's the ball. What do you do with the ball? Well, what I do in my book is I outline, well, here's what you do with the ball. First of all, you assemble a team, and it has to include a medical doctor, someone with Western medicine training. I use a wide assortment. I use acupuncture, I use massage, I use, of course, medical. I'm eternally grateful to Western medicine, you know, and and so I try a lot of different things. My wife and I have been trained in advanced modalities, myofascial techniques, and so on like that. There's a lot of great technology out there.
Right.
And so what you do, what I've done, and what I share in my book is, number one, the concept of being the general contractor of your own health, what I have done to do that, which covers all of these things, including weight training and other things like that. And then the toolkit. What do you do to build a toolkit? Now, I have a pretty extensive toolkit, and I've had many years to put it together. But you don't need a lot of things in your toolkit to get started. And there's a customer of ours, a lady in the San Francisco area. She really likes her little rebounder. They're like the mini trampolines.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now, because of my back, I don't do well on those things, but she absolutely loves it. I have other people that use all kinds of tools that I don't use, that, don't work for me, because I can't twist, very effectively. It really is not so good for my back. I can't back bend, at all, those things, but I can rock climb. So I have a rock climbing wall on the face of my barn, that I use for doing that with. That really helps my back. So everybody has to, put together their own toolkit, and so I share what I've done, how I've done it, and hopefully it'll provide inspiration and ideas, creative ideas for people to create their own.
Yeah. Yeah. Like other modalities, I'm part of this health and wellness group, which we're going to have this inside that group, private group.
Mhm.
So there's that, and then there's cleaning products that we have in our house,
Yeah.
to stay healthy, all kinds of things to do. But I really want to thank you for sharing this as a tool,
Sure.
and I feel honored and blessed that I was one of your first to try it out, and still to this day I'll use it for the rest of my
Well, I
life.
want to give everybody the opportunity to pick up the book for free, an EPUB version of the book.
Yes.
Uh, it is available on Amazon, of course, but you can pick it up for free. There's a coupon. It's simply the word "free book." You go to our website, gravitypal.com. I tell people to think
Yeah.
PayPal, except it's gravitypal.com. And in the shopping area, you see the book, and then you go as if you're going to buy it. And then you just put in "free book" as the coupon code, and you get it for free. And it's worth reading. I'm proud of it. I hope people get value out of it.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Michael.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And
And thank you, Ray. I appreciate the time to share.
yeah. All righty. Well, have a good day, and maybe we'll talk again soon.
I would like that. Thank you very much. All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.